Hello again, guys and gals. I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Sandy Bay. So we finished all the ploughing, got that done while you were away, and have cultivated a couple of the fields. We still have a couple more to cultivate, but we are ready to move on to seeding. So we're going to be replanting field 8 as our grass field, and then we're going to be planting crops on field 4, 11, 13, and also field 14 that has also been reworked now. Not doing anything with field 19, that is going to stay ignored, so to speak. It's an awkward field, it's not a great size, it's not a particularly useful or helpful shape, and it's a long distance away from the farm, so we're just going to ignore field 19. A bit of a shame, but it just makes things easier not having to worry about that particular field. So we're just cleaning the plough, ready to put it back into storage. Still having AI issues using this thing. It still keeps doubling up on itself. I really don't know why it's so temperamental. But it does mean that a large portion of the ploughing has to be done manually. It keeps overlapping itself and going back and reploughing when it's already ploughed. As I say, I think it's because it's two separate devices connected together, and I think that's what's causing the issue. But because of it, it does mean that we can't really leave this guy alone when he's ploughing. Have to keep checking up on him or doing it ourselves. Alright, so now I've got to try and park this. This is going to be awkward using this particular tractor, but we'll do the best we can. There we go, actually made that look pretty easy. So, let's grab our seeder. There we go. Now we have no seed in this yet. So time to make a quick pit stop. Fill her up. There we go. And we want grass first of all. It's a big old tank on this thing. I think it's got like a 5,500 seed tank. So we'll be able to cover plenty of ground with this. We won't need to make as many refueling or reseeding trips with this thing because it has such a large capacity. Of course, it's chicken feed in comparison to the DLC tanks that are coming. They are huge. We are just a couple of weeks away now from Big Bud going live. Really looking forward to trying out some of that equipment. I think we can use some of it here on Sandy Bay. Not so much the tractors themselves, but I think certainly a couple of the tools will prove very useful. The seeder, at least the Great Plains seeder, and maybe even the Hatzenbichler seeder can be used. I don't think we're going to need the Seed Hawk air drill. I think that's just going to be a little bit too big for this farm. We can squeeze through this gap, but it is very much a squeeze. There we go. It's really tight. Well, we can make it through. I should probably refuel this thing soon as well. We're now down to about a third of a tank. It's been busy, but then driving up and down the same route does make you thirsty. So let's get our grass planted. Lower the seeder, turn it on, there we go. And we are in business. So yeah, we're going to have this nice grass meadow right next to our cow enclosure. And eventually when we move on and purchase field 9 below as well, we may well turn that into a grass field as well. Just missed a touch here on the edge. There we go, that's got it. So we still only have the 4 workable crop fields effectively because we're grassing this one out. And I realised actually as I was almost finished with the ploughing on this field that I didn't actually need to plough this one. Because when you have a grass field, you know, it'll start off when you first load up as needing to be ploughed, and then once you have cut the grass, that acts as ploughing it, so it removes the need to plough it again. So I realised, you know, as I'd almost finished ploughing the field, that I didn't actually need to have ploughed it, but by that point it was literally like 2 passes left and it was done. So, you know, a 3 or 4 minute job, so I just carried on and finished off ploughing the whole field. Then I cultivated it because the seeder, while you can plant on ploughed ground, I don't like to do that, you know, too often unless I have a seeder that does actually cultivate as well, and this one doesn't. This one is just a direct planter. There's no cultivation tool built into it, so I like to follow the steps where possible. Big old drop there. Look at the side of that cliff. Very, very steep, high drop all the way down to the field by the shop. That little grass field down there, field 46. It's kind of an odd field to have down there, a little grass field like that. It's also quite a bit of a way out of the way as well, you know, being isolated the way it is. And one of the things I've been hoping to do is do some poplar farming on this map. And I've been trying to think which field would be the best one to use, and I think field 46 is actually a good candidate. It's not too big, so it won't be horrendously expensive to buy. You know, I was looking at a couple of other fields. Most notably, I was looking at field 34, just behind the sawmill, because of its location to the sawmill. But that field is $500,000, you know, to buy. It's a very expensive field, so because of that, you know, I think we may. Plus, it's also quite big as well, which means it's going to take a long time to plant poplar. It's at a weird angle as well, which means it's going to be difficult to work. And what I'm thinking is, instead of, you know, using an entire field, you know, I'm thinking if we just cut channels into the field for planting. So that we have a nice predetermined sort of area within a field that is set there for planting poplars in. And then we could maybe, you know, decorate the rest of the area with a couple of buildings and even a storage facility or two. And I think field 46 being not too big would be quite ideal for that. We could actually store our machinery there. We're right next to the store, so we can always go back and get more pallets really quickly. It's not so big that it will take an eternity to plant and then generate, you know, this enormous capacity of, or you know, maybe not capacity is not the right word, but this enormous, volume of wood chips that'll take forever to sell and get rid of. It is a bit of a shame that we can't really do anything else with wood chips other than just sell them. It's a shame that we can't use them in a different way within the game. You look at some of the stuff that you can do on PC and at sawmills there, on modded maps, you can have much more interactive lumber mills where you can use wood to create planks, which you can then use to create pallets, which you can use to greenhouses for different fruit types which aren't in the base game. And it's a shame we don't have some kind of additional functionality available to us on console. I can understand why it's not there. Maybe in a future edition of Farming Sim, maybe Farming Sim 19 will bring in some additional crop types, or maybe even additional functionality within certain crop types. I mean, I would love to see something like biofuel become a thing in the base game, where you can make your own biofuel. Yeah, we live in hope. Oh, I'm missing a little bit here as well. Grab that. Going to try and be a little bit more hands-on on this farm for a little while. I've done quite a lot of AI stuff on various farms recently, so I figured it would be nice change of pace to actually do some work manually. And seeing as we can't really do much else until the fields are planted, and I only have the one planter, it does mean, seeing as I can only do this one particular job, I may as well do it myself. Squeeze past the gate there. So the Outback series is launched, it's available, it's going well. The first couple of episodes have drawn really good numbers compared to my my other videos. So big thank you if you've watched the Outback series. I hope you continue to support it and keep watching. I have recorded all 8 of the opening episodes now, up to the point that they'll be released. The last 2 episodes that I've recorded, 7 and 8, will be recorded 2 days before the DLC drops. And then episode 9 will be the first episode where we go back to just doing a single episode a day instead of a double drop episodes. And that'll be the first one with the DLC available. So we are waiting until the DLC goes live, and then hopefully we'll be able to add in some Big Bud content straight into that farm for when that episode goes live 2 days later on the Thursday the 11th. I have some ideas. I've got a load of crop to sell. Potentially might even be selling some machinery that I already own. And we have another harvest that's about ready to go as well. So there's plenty of money available to at least get something good. And I have my eyes on a couple of pieces. It won't be a 747, I can promise you that. That is just a little bit too big for where our farm is at the moment, and it's a lot of money that we could spend on other more useful items to start with. But there will be a full Big Bud DLC review coming to the channel as soon as the DLC is available. I have got a test farm built, ready, and just putting the final touches in place so that as soon as that DLC is installed on my hard drive, I can play about with all the different types of machinery, record some footage of it in action, see how it performs, see if there are any AI issues or any bugs that I can spot. And then obviously we'll get that information out to you guys straight as soon as possible. So expect that video to hopefully go live at some point late on the Tuesday, of Tuesday the 9th. If not, it'll be Wednesday. We'll see how the testing goes. I may want to take an extra day just to really experience everything properly. Rather than rushing a video out to try and get the most number of views in, by being one of the first people to publish, I'd rather make sure that the content is accurate and worth watching, and detailed breakdowns, and hopefully the quality of the content will be better, rather than just rushing out to say, this is the equipment, look at it, isn't it shiny, now please like my channel. I'd rather bring you quality content than rushed content. In terms of animals, we're still a little way off getting cows up and running on this farm. But having this grass field here will help with that process. It'll be a nice, easy, close to the farm source of grass for silage. It'll be a close source for hay. We can always grab some straw off a different off a different field. To use for bedding and for power food. We just now need to sort of look at raising the funds. We have got some crops available to sell. Obviously, we've still got the wheat and the barley from those initial harvested fields. The prices aren't amazing at the moment, so I am hanging on to them just a little bit. And we do have a couple of little bits of starting grain from, or starting crops from the other grains as well in our silage. Sorry, in our silos. Up to about 8,000 of each. I don't really want to sell those straight away. I'd rather wait until we have additional crop of that type to add to them, and then sell all in one go, rather than selling just a tiny piddly little amount. It doesn't seem worth travelling all the way down to a sell point just for, $5,000 to $10,000, depending on the crop type and the price. Just a little bit wide again. Just looking at the views here in the background, this is such a beautiful map. The views are fantastic. I mean, just looking there in the distance, you see all the fields. Some of them have got crops on, some of them don't. It's a shame that there are so many fields that are unprogrammed. So they either have a starting crop, which, if you don't have withering turned off, will quickly just die and then just stay there as a withered field. And there's a lot of fields that have no growth cycle of any kind whatsoever, so they don't even have a crop that's growing on there. And that's kind of a shame. It does mean that we don't get a really colourful view up here. We just perpetually have brown patches and then clear patches where crops are fully grown and ready to harvest. But in future, that will change, as we start to acquire more land. I mean, you can see the other side of the road there where that car is travelling. That's field 11, and then behind that is fields 13 and 14. They are the two brown patches that you see sort of directly north of where the tractor is, just there. So we own those fields, so we'll get crops on those at some point in the near future. Then we have looks like field 39, and then behind that is field 19, which is the field that we won't be using. We may well just grass that field out. And that way we won't just see a big brown blob in the background. But as I said, it's just not really a practical field to use. Or at least not at this stage of the farm anyway. Maybe in the future things will change. But as things stand right now, it's of no real value to us. Like I said, it's too far away to be used on a regular basis. You know, it's too awkward a shape and size to really be of any real value crop-wise. There's not a lot else that we can really do with it, you know, as things currently stand. There we go. Alright, so we need to do some starting crops, and I think we're going to go with canola for a change. Normally the first thing we plant on most farms is soybeans, occasionally with some canola, but we're actually going to go with canola straight away, and we're going to do a full canola harvest. In fact, actually no, we'll split it. We'll do half canola, we'll do some soybeans as well. Simply because we are still relatively young into the life of the farm, so we are still looking for money, and it is such a great crop in terms of price. It would kind of be a little bit foolish to just ignore it. So if we do canola on this field, we'll do canola on field 11 as well. And then fields 13 and 14, we'll put soybeans on those two fields. Ooh, actually, while I'm here, I completely forgot about clearing that up, so we'll just plant grass on that little section just there. There we go. Turn off. Now we can change the seed back. There we go, it's canola. That's the problem sometimes with articulated bodies, is lining them up. There we go. So turn on the seeder and off we go. And we are flying through the air there. Does look kind of weird. On a bit of a shelf up here. It's the way the map has been designed. It does look a bit goofy when you're at the edge of the field and you can just see it's kind of just like a shelf, but it's not too bad. I mean, it's a design limitation based around memory requirements, I think, and trying to create the more scenic sort of distance look. It helps create that illusion there of fields still in the background. Sometimes you can't always be 100% committed to your design. Sometimes you have to make compromises, and that looks like it is just an unfortunate compromise based on the design of the map and the limitations of the system. But we can forgive that because it's such a nice looking map. Alright, Right, so just plant the border along here. And we're just going to cut straight across. There we go, let's grab that bit that we missed. We are going to need to obviously fertilise these fields completely. You know, they have no fertiliser on them at all, so we're going to have to do 3 runs. That's going to be expensive. But we do have the awesome New Holland sprayer, which I have yet to use. Or at least on this map I'm yet to use it. I have used it in, you know, on limited occasions on my own private games. I just missed the corner there, didn't I? There we go. Make sure we get a nice clean line up here. Okay, there we go. Right, well that's kind of it then for the first of our episodes of planting. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Jim Mob, and I will catch you back on Sandy Bay very soon.